I, Deepshikha Sharma, organizing secretary of this 7 days virtual faculty development program on the topic research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research design. Welcome you all. A very warm and cordial greetings to all. This FTP is being organized by Research and Development Cell, Government SPMR College of Commerce, Jammu UT, in collaboration with Cape Comorin Trust, India. The aim of this faculty development program is to acquaint participants with contemporary research methods and techniques of uh, advanced research methods. There are some other specific objects targeted in this FTP, and they are to familiarize participants with software-based statistical tools and techniques in research, to train researchers with various methods, tools, and techniques with the help of SPSS and eViews, to enable researchers, irrespective of their discipline, in developing appropriate methodology for their research studies. After attending this faculty development program, participants will get in-depth understanding of research and its implications in decision-making process. I'm sure researchers will gain better understanding on how to design a valid research project to answer specific research questions. They will be able to design reliable and valid questionnaires for collection of data. They can use descriptive, predictive, statistical tools using robust uh, analytical softwares. This 7 days faculty development program on research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research design is designed to impart knowledge on research methods, tools, and techniques in empirical research, report writing, choosing an ideal research topic, abstract thesis, and research paper writing skills, selecting right journals for the produced research papers, detecting plagiarism, and handling editorial decisions, along with revising the manuscripts in line with the suggested comments of peer reference. I welcome Director, Higher Education Department, Dr. Yasmin Ashey in absentia, for her support in organizing this FTP. I also welcome Dr. Surinder Kumar, Principal, Government SPMR College of Commerce, for his help support. I also welcome all the participants present here from India and abroad. Now I take the pleasure of requesting Dr. Pooja, convener of the program, to kindly share her formal welcome note. Dr. Pooja.
Thank you, Deepshika ma'am. Respected Principal Sir, President Cape Cameron Trust, esteemed resource persons from India and abroad, fellow colleagues, scholars, distinguished audience, and dear participants, a very good evening to one and all present here. In the words of Aristotle, it is well said that teaching is the highest form of learning and research is the manifestation. With these words, I, Dr. Pooja, Coordinator of Research and Development Cell, Government SPMR College of Commerce, feel extremely privileged to have been given the opportunity to welcome you all to the inaugural session of 7 days International FTP on research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research design. This day could have been more special if our chief guest, Professor Yasmin Ashai, Director Colleges, Higher Education Department, JNK, would have joined us today to bless us all. On behalf of our worthy Principal Sir and Research and Development Cell of Government SPMR College of Commerce, I would like to thank ma'am in her absentia since she couldn't join us today due to her busy schedule. We, the team of Research and Development Cell, also welcome our worthy Principal Sir and thank him for his consistent support and guidance in motivating, encouraging, and guiding us all in initiating this program. We also welcome Mr. Regent Sylvest, President, Cape Camorin Trust, and thankful to him for collaborating and facilitating this FDP by coordinating with experts and eminent resource persons from India and abroad, sending invites and managing registrations within a very short period of time. We are privileged to have with us our first resource person, Von Eric Tandok, who is an international motivational popular speaker from Alberta, Canada. Von Eric is a natural leader, influencer, and coach. In the year 2019-20, He founded Paper Planes and initiated a book drive of children's and professional level publications, which were donated to his alma mater. Combining a sense of responsibility with greatness and humor, Vaughan is clear. What his mission is to provide exceptional, well informed services that provide people enhance their communication skill and live confident with self expressed lives. We welcome you, sir. We are
Thank
also,
you.
yes, sir, we welcome you, sir. We are also privileged to have with us today Dr. B. Spurti, Assistant Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, National Institute of Technology, Warangal. Dr. B. Spurti has done her doctorate in English language education from English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. And she has several years of corporate training experience in improving operations through curriculum development and employee training, driving performance improvement and training logistics. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, this FDP is now after attending this FDP, I mean the first and the foremost aim of this FDP is contemplated to explore the basic dimensions of research, including recent developments in research methods, methodological issues in research publication, publication ethics, use and misuse of statistics in research, and availability of resources for reading material. This program, it also aims to provide an opportunity to academicians and researchers from various disciplines to discuss and share the contemporary issues of multidisciplinary research, innovation, qualitative and quantitative aspects. I'm sure that on completion of this said program, the participants, they are likely to have developed the skill to review literature, develop a hypothesis, frame research design, and comprehend the role and relevance of the tools for data collection and analysis. I once again welcome all the dignitaries and faculty members to this interactive 1 week virtual international faculty development program. Thank you. Over to you,
Thank you,
Deepshika ma'am.
Dr. Pooja. Thank you, Dr. Pooja. Thank you. I was about to call Dr. Surinder Kumar, principal of the college, but I think he's not available. So I would request Professor Harpreet, our one of the organizing member, to kindly present formal vote of thanks. Then we'll go with the proceedings of the technical session. Professor Harpreet.
Okay. Thank you, Deepshika ma'am. Thank you, Deepshika ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I, Professor Harpreet, on behalf of my team members and organizers, pass my warm thanks to Professor Dr. Yashmeen Ashai, Director Colleges, Higher Education Department, Government of J&K in absentia for her support. I especially want to thank Professor Dr. Surinder Kumar, Principal, Government SPMR College of Commerce, and Guest of Honor for the inaugural function of this 7-day international virtual FDP on research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research design. Thank you, sir, for always being there and providing support and encouragement to all of us. It was truly impossible without your motivation. I thank you in absentia. I also thank all the resource persons for gracing this occasion. And thanks are also due to Dr. R.S. Regent Sylvest, President, Cape Comorin Trust, and organizer of this FDP for making all the efforts in coordinating with the resource persons and managing the registrations and all that. All that. Thank you, sir. I would like to place my hearty thanks to all the participants who have made this event even more graceful. It is very important to thank all the members of Research and Development Cell, Government SPMR College of Commerce, for their combined efforts for making this event possible. Last but not the least, I thank all the technical team members for providing all the technical support required for this FDP. Thank you, one and all. Over to you, Deepshika ma'am.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you. Now I request my fellow organizing member, Dr. Faiza, to kindly go with the proceedings of the technical session. Dr. Faiza, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Okay, fine. Please go with the proceedings of the technical session,
Okay,
Dr.
ma'am.
Faiza.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Professor
Thank you.
Deepshika, Dr. Pooja, and Professor Harpreet. I, Dr. Faiza, Assistant Professor Commerce, feel honored to start today's session. In our first technical session, we have Mr. Von Eric Tendok. Mr. Eric Tendok is an international motivational speaker from Alberta, Canada. Mr. Von Eric is a natural leader, influencer, coach. He founded Paper Planes and initiated a book drive for children and professionals. Mr. Eric, a great visionary, has sense of responsibility with greatness and humor. He has always clear he was always clear with his mission, that is to provide exceptional services that can help many to achieve their goals with confidence. Without taking much of your valuable time, I request Mr. Von Erich to kindly start our first technical session of this International Faculty Development Program. Mr. Von Erich, sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paiza. Thank you very much for that warm introduction. Okay, let's start. And I would like to say first, before I start my presentation, thank you very much again for inviting me here. I think this is my second or third. I can't remember, but it's pleasure to be always here. Now, welcome to this one-week international virtual faculty development on research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research design. So, as we all know, we always do research into writing, particularly, and after research, we do the report. Now, in this discipline and process, there's one thing that we need to consider. There's always evaluation, there's always feedback, there's always constructive criticism for our improvement with regards to our research, methods, and tools. Now it's time for me to share my slides for everyone to have an access of what we are going to talk for 1 hour tonight and today in Alberta. Okay, trying to present now. Okay. Choose what to present. Okay. I'm finding. Okay. Can anyone see my slides?
No, sir, it is not visible.
No, sir.
That's not visible. Okay. Let's go to then. Okay. And here we go. So I've been presenting this, the art of giving and receiving feedback all over the world last year. And I can't remember how many times but I know I was able to present this presentation to many continents, including North America. So bear with me. I know I asked for presentation to and nothing coming out, right?
No, sir.
Nothing. Okay. So looks like I'm having an issue. How about this? Can you see something?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Nothing?
Yes. Yes, it's visible
Yes?
now.
How about this?
Yes.
So can you see the art of giving and receiving feedback by Bonari
Feedback.
Tandok? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. Thank you very much for your patience.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this will be our topic, the art of giving and receiving feedback in your research methods and tools. In this presentation, it's my an honor to help you, guide you, and share values on how to receive feedback. Moving on. Objectives. At the end of this presentation, you will get to know more why feedback is important in your workplace, career, in life. And when we say career, that includes your research because your research are very important in your career. And of course, the next one is important steps to learn from feedback. So we need to learn the different steps from feedback. So that is our two main objectives in this session. Moving on, this is a question you may or you may not answer. If you want to answer, I'll appreciate it. Just make it sure it will not cover the whole presentation though. Okay? So why do you dread receiving an evaluation? Why do people doesn't like to receive an evaluation? Right? From the time that we start schooling, we don't want to hear feedback from our teachers. And then when we finish schooling, we go to job, and in our job, we don't want to receive an evaluation. So do you dread receiving an evaluation? Okay, moving on. These questions too are rhetorical, but if someone wants to share their opinion, knowledge, I welcome all of you. So why are we reluctant to give evaluations? This is another question, right? The first one, I'm going back. Do you dread or do you fear receiving an evaluation in your research, in your presentation, oral presentation, or any kind of presentation, including your work, right? Second one, if you are in the position of giving an evaluations or feedback or opinion or constructive criticism, or why are we reluctant to give evaluations? And the next question here, why people don't like to receive feedback? So these are the questions that I want you to incorporate while going to this presentation. Okay, so remember this question and ask yourself too right now. Ask yourself. Okay, I give you 30 seconds right now. Ask yourself. Okay, 30 seconds or less. Ask yourself. Mhm. I do hope everyone hear me, and I do hope they see these slides and start asking yourself, why are we reluctant to give evaluations? And next one, why people don't like to receive feedback, opinion, comments, particularly in Facebook, right? We don't want to receive feedback that we doesn't like to hear or see. So ask this question to yourself. Now, if you already asked this question yourself, then let's proceed. The truth is, I would like you to remind everyone, don't be offended. It's only an opinion. An opinion that you may or may not take it. Okay? So don't be offended. Particularly in social media, nah, don't worry about it. Just focus in your career in life. Okay? Particularly in your research. Now, you may take the opinion, particularly if that is your mentor, your professor, right? Because your mentor and professor only wants you to succeed, particularly in our research and presentation. Now, I would like to share this quote that I love, and this is from Henry Cloud, an American speaker and writer. And he beautifully said, the natural response to evaluation is to feel judged. We have to mature to a place where we respond to it with gratitude, and we should love feedback. Henry Cloud. Okay? When we receive feedback, our number one response or our number one feeling and thinking is we are being judged. And to do so, to eliminate that feeling, you have to be mature enough to respond with gratitude and love feedback. Okay? Just say thank you. Then you will avoid conflict. Now, if you think you feel judged, if you don't like the feedback that you receive, don't fight back. Just be professional and just say thank you. I'm going to share you a story. One time, when I do a presentation in a Toastmasters, so a Toastmasters is a organization, international organization for those people who want to improve their public speaking, those who want to improve their leadership anyway. So when I was into this one club, one lady member messaged me, and this is what she said. I think I can do what you are doing. That's what she said. I think I can be a professional paid speaker too. I think your presentation today is not what I'm expecting. Well, my presentation to that club is just a practice because I'm going to present that one in another organization, not inside that organization Toastmaster. So I'm doing a practice. Now, when I hear the word I think, but she's not doing what I'm doing, I just said thank you. Remember, it's up to you to accept the feedback, judgment of other people, particularly if they are not into your status, they're not into your category, they're not into your field, right? Imagine one person giving feedback, giving judgment to a singer, and that person is not singing. Do you think as a singer you will reply negatively? No, just say thank you. You're professional enough to avoid conflict. When you avoid conflict, you avoid stress. And that makes your life better if there's no stress. So the way you respond, Henry Cloud beautifully said, we have to be mature enough where we respond to it with gratitude and just love the feedback, no matter you like it or not. So imagine someone who is not a singing, not a professional singer, giving feedback to a professional singer. As a professional singer or paid singer, is be mature enough. Think first before you react. That is what I want you to remember. Even that one. This quote by Henry Cloud, remember it. This will help you in your life, in your love life, in your career, the whole aspect of your life. Okay? Moving on. Now, do you think you learn something if you think you're right all the time? Okay? So this quote, you learn nothing from life if you think you're right all the time. Of course, this is the best time for us to receive feedback, opinion, judgment, particularly coming from a person of authority, your mentor, your coach, your teacher, your professor, or someone with wisdom, right? It's time for you to listen to this kind of people. Now, the first scenario that I mentioned to you, if someone gives you an opinion or judgment and yet that person is not doing what you're doing, then be mature enough to just say thank you. Now, in this quote, you learn nothing from life if you think you're always right all the time. And I agree with that. Okay? Even the best, the expert also needs feedback and evaluation. Always remember that. Now, to enhance our presentation more about feedback, what is feedback? If I'm going to ask every one of you here, then I might get different definition of feedback. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, I would like to mention this definition. Feedback is any information about reaction to a product, a person, a performance of a task, which is used as a basis for improvement. Okay? Always remember, it's a basis for improvement. Particularly if you are giving a feedback, evaluation, opinion. Your primary purpose is to give improvement to your student, the one you are teaching, and you're not giving a feedback to ridicule or downgrade the performance of a person. Okay? So as a doctor and you have a PhD, you have a master's degree, you are a respected principal or school head, this should be your main objective, is to give improvement to your co-teachers, to your subordinates, to your students. That is, and not other intention just to belittle one person. Okay? And you are a true leader if your purpose is to give improvement. Right? Moving on. There you go. Feedback can be known as opinion, can be known as view, critics. Okay, so I think this word doesn't like this one. We don't like this. Judgment, of satisfaction. The most common name of feedback, of course, is evaluation. Okay, so remember these words: opinion, view, critics, judgment, satisfaction, evaluation. And that is the concept of feedback. Okay. Now, to be able to understand more why feedback or evaluation is important, it's because feedback or evaluation is one of the elements of public speaking. And when I say public speaking, this includes presentation of your research. Okay? So, and anyone still with me? Just say yes. I want to hear
Yes,
yes.
sir. Yes,
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So this is the reason why I'm very passionate on this topic, feedback or evaluation, because I always love public speaking, and public speaking, as I mentioned earlier, that includes your presentation. Public speaking, when you're a teacher, that is also public speaking. Okay. So teachers, most of us here are teachers. Most of us here in the field of education. So always remember, you're being evaluated too when you're teaching in a classroom by your students. And that evaluation or feedback can be silent feedback. Okay, so because I'm already here, the 7 elements of public speaking is, of course, the speaker, or in your case, as a teacher. Or if you're a student in a college and you're doing a presentation of your research, then you are the speaker. Okay. Number 2, it's the message. The message is the content of your research, whatever research is it. And then number 3, the audience. So the one listening to you at that moment. And this number 4, that is our main topic for today, evaluation and feedback. Of course, let's include the element of public speaking here. Channel. What is the channel? Okay. Channel refers to the platform you're using. Situation. What is the situation? How many audience? Is it too noisy? Can they hear you as a speaker? Do you have a good internet signal? Those are situation. Situation can also be like interference. Is there interference? Is there a noise in your background while you're doing presentation? Because that will affect your performance as presenter of your research. Okay, so those are the 7 elements of public speaking, and I would like to share this to everyone, these elements of public speaking, because as a public speaking mentor in coaching people, particularly in my organization, how to speak better, it's you should consider the other elements of public speaker. Okay, you may have a good message or you may have a good research, but you as a speaker, you were not able to express it, your voice is too low or they can't hear you, then that will affect your presentation and research. You have to consider also the audience. Are there many kids in the audience? Because if there's kids, kids are kids, right? They can be playing, laughing, crying. That will affect the beauty of your research. Now, if you are presenting your research in online, there are things that you should consider too: the situation, the channel, and interference. Because those other elements will reflect in the evaluation when you are doing presentation of your research. So always remember that. Okay, moving on. I hope this is very clear to everyone. Now, there we go. Imagine yourself, particularly those our doctors here and master's degree holders. Have you experienced before when you presented your thesis, right? As a speaker, you're being evaluated to how the speaker looks, how you sound, how the speaker sounds, and how the speaker organizes his material. Okay, we will discuss this one by one so that I can teach you how to be a better speaker, receiving a better feedback or opinion or judgment or better evaluation from the panel. The last one, how the speaker organizes material. This is very important, particularly if you are presenting your research. Now, let's start discussing it one by one. How the speaker looks, why you should dress well. It's very important to dress well when you do a presentation of your research. Why? Number one, it adds confidence to yourself. You will be confident. So, have you noticed when you take a picture, group photo, the number one person you will check in the picture is yourself? That should be the same mentality when you go for a presentation. Dress well. Okay? But make sure when you dress well, it's comfortable. Now, I know most countries in India, when it's summer, it's really hot, right? Or humid. So you have to take into consideration too that when you select your attire, okay, you don't want too tight, not too comfortable, because when you present your research, that will affect, like, you're not comfortable, it's feeling hot, and that will affect your performance as presenter. But overall here, how you look will add feedback to you as a presenter. Okay. Next one, how you sound as a presenter of your research. Are you confident or nervous? Loud or low voice? Do you know that when you have a low voice, you are shy? You lack confidence. Okay? So when I say confident, of course, you know your presentation very well. You know your research and you know your content very well. I'm not referring here overconfident. That's different from being confident. When we define confident, by the way, confidence is built on experience. Confidence is built on practice. So that's why you're confident. Okay. And if you are confident, that will affect your voice. In your voice, people will hear confidence. So that's important. How the speaker sounds. Now, organization. Okay, this is important. How you organize your research and materials when you present it. This is very, very important if you want to receive a good feedback. Now, to be able to be confident and present a better research, you need to have an effective evaluation from your audience, and you need to find a mentor. So you have a mentor asking you. Your mentor can be your family, close family, or it can be your teacher to guide you in your presentation of your research. Next one. Let's tackle this, how to give feedback. Okay. In this presentation, we have two main factors that we need to consider: how to give feedback, and the other one is how to receive feedback. Let's go and shift your mind. You are the evaluator. You are the one giving opinion, evaluation, good judgment, or you're the one giving constructive criticism to help improve the one who did the research and doing the presentation. And how to give feedback? There are three important elements that I would like to share in this presentation. Number one is your attention. Number two is sandwich method. Number three, show you care. If you notice the care, it's more of an acronym. CARE. Okay, sandwich method. If it's your first time to hear that, I'm going to ask you later on. First, let's start with attention. Okay, when I say attention, it's about listening actively, taking the time to analyze, then thinking of a positive way for your presenter to perform better. So when you start giving an evaluation, it's time for you to listen actively. If someone is presenting the research in front of you and you're a member of the panel, then you are not looking in your cell phone like this. Give your full attention so that there will be no distraction in your mind. Once you give your full attention, then you will have that opportunity to give feedback. Okay, so always remember attention. Number two, what is feedback sandwich? I want an honest response. Did you hear this sandwich feedback before? Yeah, just say no if you don't. Are you all
No,
No, sir.
familiar?
no, sir. No,
No,
sir.
No?
sir.
Okay. I can't see how many out of more than 50 here. So if you did not hear about this sandwich method or feedback sandwich, then this is one good learning for today. Feedback sandwich. Okay, for those who haven't heard this one, then this is your first time to hear what is feedback sandwich all about. In the illustration, you can find here a picture of a burger sandwich, right? But in my illustration here, I put positive, two positive, in the middle is negative. I cross out the negative for one purpose, and that will be touch in our presentation. Okay, there you go. Feedback sandwich. Imagine a delicious burger. Now, I'm not making you hungry if you still don't have your supper or dinner. Or for those other countries like me, it's their morning. If you haven't taken your breakfast yet, I'm not making you hungry. But I'm trying to give a perfect illustration of what is feedback sandwich. Okay? If you notice on the top portion, that is the positive feedback. In the middle portion, that is a negative feedback, or we would like to say it constructive criticism. And then on the lower portion of the sandwich illustration is a more positive feedback. So this is the concept of feedback sandwich or sandwich feedback for that matter. You give positive feedback to the presenter of his research, and then you input your points of improvement. And then later on in your last part of your evaluation, you want to give more positive feedback. This is one good art of giving feedback and evaluation to everyone. You remember these three things like top, the middle portion, and the lower portion. Now, this is very effective in many Toastmasters international organization. And we use this kind of evaluation so that it will give them improvement in their next presentation. Just remember positive, negative, positive. If you don't want to use the word negative feedback, just say constructive criticism. And this is your main purpose. You need to have that constructive criticism to be able the presenter to improve more. Okay? To wrap it up, that aspect of feedback sandwich method, imagine this one illustration again. You start something positive to warm up the discussion. In the middle portion, what is the middle portion of a sandwich or burger, right? The patty, the lettuce, the tomato, the sauce, the ketchup, the mustard, right? That is in the middle. And imagine that. That is the feedback you actually wanted to give. Remember the quote that I shared to you, right? Your purpose in giving feedback is to give improvement. Okay? Now, once you're done on giving improvement to the presenter, then the next thing that you will do is something else positive to soften the real feedback. When we say soften the real feedback, we are only human. This is the reason why many of us don't want to give feedback and many of us doesn't want to receive feedback. The purpose of this, the last portion, something else positive to soften the real feedback, it's because you know that the person you are evaluating is not actually 100% happy at that moment. So you need to return back on giving more positive feedback. Again, feedback can be two, a positive and of course, constructive. And this is the reason why we don't want to give, we are reluctant to give feedback because of that constructive criticism. And also in the other person, we don't want to hear it, right? Because by nature, we only want to hear good things. Do you believe on me on that? We are happy if we receive good things. Oh, you have a beautiful hair. Oh, you have a beautiful suit. Oh, you dress well. Those are the things that we want to hear. We don't want to hear when you have a makeup. Oh, I don't like your lipstick. You feel bad, right? You feel hurt. Because the truth is, that is human nature. Okay? That's human nature. But again, if you are open-minded, you are open and you embrace feedback, then that makes you a stronger person. That makes you a wiser person. Okay, so remember the feedback sandwich, this illustration. Take a picture if you want to, or you can write it down so that you will understand more what is feedback sandwich. Now, let's go to another format on how to give feedback. The number one is always your attention, undivided attention. Don't think of your problem and your house. Don't look at your cell phone and checking your emails, checking your WhatsApp, checking your Facebook or Instagram, because it will divide your attention to give a 100% feedback. And then, of course, we discussed today the feedback sandwich. Now, let's go to the another format. This is the care, okay? Compliment, you address, you resolve, and you encourage. The last one, we use the feedback sandwich, and it's like three format, right? Positive, constructive feedback, and then another positive. This one, you need to do this format, the care method that I devise, and I also use this one, compliment. Before you give your constructive criticism, you have to make it sure you give your best compliment. And again, I'm not a psychologist, but this is true. We are only human, and the only thing that we want to hear as much as possible is the compliment, right? Remember when a grade schooler or elementary or kindergarten or preschool, when they show their drawing to you, what is your number one reaction? Oh, it's beautiful, right? Because you want to give compliment. And that is our human nature too. We mothers, we parents, as much as possible, we want to give the best compliment to our child because we want them to develop that confidence. That is what I mean by compliment. Now you address something that your child or your student can improve. Let's say he showed his drawing and you notice up, oh, you know what? This is beautiful, but if you will put a tree beside the mountain, that will make it beautiful. That is addressing, and you are now starting to give your feedback. And then you agree or resolve. Can you do that? Can you write a tree or put a bird in your drawing? Or can you do beautiful colors? And if you said yes, it's time for you to encourage ya. Yeah, put that bird, draw trees. You are encouraging. So that is the care format, CARE. Now remember, be a coach, not a critic. Okay? We tend to criticize people that much, particularly in social media and other platforms. We tend to be more critic than a coach. So be a coach. When I say coach, you are a mentor, you're a teacher, or something or someone being looked up to. Okay? So those are the three simple format that we need to remember when we give feedback. Okay? Moving on. Constructive versus negative feedback. The most important here when you give evaluation is not what you say, it's how you say it. When I say how you say it, it's in the tone of your voice. How's your voice? Very good. Okay? Good job. Very well done. Congratulations. It's how you say it. Even if you say congratulations, congratulations, right? It's not what you say. It's how you say it. Very good. Very good. Right? There's two difference. Very good. Good job. Very good. Very good. But you're not smiling. Your face is frowning. But again, good tip. If you're receiving this kind of reaction, very good. It's good. Sometimes it's not always about you. It's always on the other person. So don't take it personally. Okay? And we will go to that later on. Okay? So again, always remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay? That is how to give feedback. Okay, let's take a break and try to stretch yourself. For those who are sleeping, maybe it's time for you to do a little stretching because we've been almost 40 minutes standing or since the start of the program. Okay. All right. Are you ready to the next presentation? We're done discussing how to give. It's time to go to how to receive. Now, you as a researcher, as a presenter, this is important. Okay. How to receive feedback. How to receive feedback. Now, I shared Henry Cloud's quote. It says there, be grateful and receive feedback with an open arms, right? So remember that. These are the things that you need to consider when you receive feedback or you're planning to receive a good feedback. Okay? Set yourself up for success. How do you do that? Number one, you need to plan and prepare. Then you need to practice your speech or your research or your presentation. And next one is presenting your research, your talk to your audience. Okay, so always set yourself up for success. Of course, you will not going to get a good feedback if you don't set yourself up for success. In doing so, I'm going to reiterate for those other people who is not clear to my presentation in this aspect. You need to plan and prepare. You need to practice your research and your presentation, and you need to present your talk to your audience. Okay, next one. There you go. Learn from the feedback. That is the number one important here. Get the learning as much as possible. Focus on the learning, not on the hurt. Okay? Not the ego. Okay? Focus on the learning. Okay? What I mean by that is be reasonable. Use this instead of your emotion. Okay? We all always use our emotion. Right? Use this. That's the reason why God put our brain on top and our emotions below it. So learn from the feedback. You need to be coachable. You need to be teachable. Okay. Listen well to the feedback. When you listen well, actively, attentively, and open-minded. And you need to reflect and decide what to do. Now, decide what to do. When you hear that feedback from the panel of judges in your research, you need to reflect and decide what to do. Now, ask a follow-up or ask question if it is not clear to you about their feedback in your research. But the most important in learning from the feedback is apply what you learn. Okay? It's useless if we don't apply what we learn from the feedback. In the first place, you are there to present, to ask for feedback, for improvement, or to receive that compliments, right? But what most important here is apply what you learn. Now, if you want to win, you have to be willing to be judged by others. It takes courage to put yourself out there. It takes courage to do that presentation. Now, since you have that courage to present that presentation or that research, if you want to be a winner, you have to be willing to be judged by others. Be ready to accept any kind of feedback, good or bad. Okay? Next one, Q-tip. Okay? Q-tip. Remember this acronym, Q-tip. Quit taking it personally. Don't take it personally. Take it as a basis of improvement for your research. Right? So Q-tip. Don't take it personally. Now, I would like to go back to this illustration. Feedback is the breakfast of champion. Have you heard about that before? Feedback or evaluations are the breakfast of the champion. And if you want to win, you have to be willing to be judged by others. And I would like to reiterate that one to you. Okay? So these are the two presentations that we covered today. First, in summary of the how to give, of course, give your full attention. The next is the sandwich method. I'm glad for those who haven't heard it. I'm happy to hear that you said no. If most of you haven't heard the feedback sandwich, then it's time to reflect of that feedback sandwich and remember that feedback sandwich. That feedback sandwich in many corporations, they don't apply it. But again, whatever format you're going to use in your evaluation, be it your own style, remember this, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Right? Okay? And the last one is my own personality care. Remember the acronym CARE because you want somebody to improve. That's just all about. Now, in receiving feedback, of course, learn from the feedback. That is to summarize how to receive feedback. And this is the most important here is the word Q-tip. Quit taking it personally. Okay? Don't be too emotional. Be rational. Okay? You will learn more if you are rational than being emotional, than using your pride, your ego, right? Oh, that teacher is wrong. I'm right. No, take it. If you think you don't like the feedback, it's still up to you. But don't use your emotion. Just use your rationality. Okay? So quit taking it personally. Now, this presentation, okay, it's from my book actually. So if you notice the word confident, communication, organization, we covered the organization aspect of research and presentation, right? No words, filler words, ideas. This is part of how you present the content, your vocals. And if you notice, the E is evaluations. This is one chapter in this book, Say It Loud, Say It Proud, because feedback is very important in our career, in our life, of course, in our relationship, in our business. And then, of course, to get a better feedback, you need to get this one, necessary practice. And when I say that telling your story, this is where you tell your presentation and research. Always remember, give from the heart, receive in the mind. Okay? You give from the heart, your desire of your heart to make someone improve in their research and presentation, and you as a receiver of the feedback or evaluation, you receive it in your mind. That's why I mentioned to you, use your rationality rather than your emotion. Now, for those who wants to keep in touch with me, you can email me at confidentlyspeakinginstitute@gmail.com or my other email, vetandok@gmail.com. If you have any question, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Okay, if you do have a question, just shoot me a message, or the organizers, if you have a to the organizers, if you can't get contact with me, then ask the organizers here, because I'm more than willing to guide you in your research and your presentation. Now, since we have almost to 10 minutes in this presentation, I would like to accept questions regarding the presentation. If some part of my presentations are not very clear, if you or you have something to clarify, then I'm more than willing to accept. So let's use the remaining 10 minutes. It's actually I'm presenting now for 49 minutes. So almost 50 minutes I'm presenting. I reserve less than 10 minutes for the presentation. Any question? Any
So thanks a
clarification?
lot. So thanks a lot, sir. Your valuable ideas and suggestions with respect to feedback will help all of us, not only in improving our research practices, but in improving our lifestyle as well. Because it is true that feedback improves us. Well, now the house is open for discussion. Any kind of doubt or suggestion, if our participants want.
Thank you,
Well, the
ma'am.
house is open. People can raise your hand. Sir is there for the other
Doctora,
10 minutes.
please help me. Who is the one raising their hand? And also, you can give feedback. Since our topic today is about feedback, I'm welcome to any feedback or evaluation too. So, this is imagine yourself now giving feedback to me, and I'm the one presenting my research. So, you can give feedback. Okay? Any feedback? Is it clear to you? If there's something not clear, then let's clear it. Let's discuss it.
I think all are quite satisfied with what you said.
If
Any
there's
kind
no
of
question,
suggestion or any
yes,
kind of
I'll take.
feedback you all want to give, please go ahead.
Go ahead, please. Do we have a question, Doctora?
I think all are quite happy and are satisfied
So
with
that
what you
means
said.
everyone is happy. That means this presentation is clear. Okay, as a final word, again, it's difficult to receive feedback. It's human nature. We often use our emotional than our reasoning, right? So remember the important aspect to do when you receive a feedback. Q-tip, quit taking it personally. Okay? And it's up to you to receive that feedback. What you wanna pick, what you wanna choose to improve your presentations or research. So it's up to you. And of course, for those who are giving feedback, when you give feedback, you are focusing on the improvement of your student or the researcher, right? So you are a coach and not a critic. So that's my final word. And again, always remember, we receive feedback in all evaluation, even not in research, even in what we are doing in your house, everywhere. There's always feedback and evaluation. There's always judgment. It's part of our life, particularly in social media, right? They're always fighting in the comment section because when someone give a feedback, someone will reply back and until the conflict will arise, right? So feedback is always there. It's how you manage on receiving and those feedback. Okay, so those
Sir,
are the final word. Thank you very much.
sir, the concept of sandwich feedback. I am listening for first time. It was, I feel it's a wonderful idea, and thank you very much for giving such a new idea, sir. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to give ideas, shared ideas that I got from others, from my learning, and I'm happy to share it because learning should be, we should share what we learn. So thank you very much for your compliments and feedback. Okay. Any more? Someone who wants to say? I still have few minutes. We're almost an hour per presentation, and we should wait for our next presenter. And I'm happy to learn from her, my co-presenter tonight.
Yes, Manzoor, sir, you can go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Sir, will you please share the idea of feedback sandwich again? Because You told about positive feedback, negative feedback, and more positive feedback. I have a
Okay,
little bit misconception about these three factors: positive feedback, negative feedback, and more positive feedback, sir.
good question, sir. Good question. We still have few minutes. Okay, if you notice here, okay, imagine a burger. The top portion of the patty, or we call it crown, right? And imagine the center of the burger, and the last part is the heel. Like there's two bread put together, in the middle is the. So imagine that one. When you give your feedback, first you start your feedback by giving positive, and then you transition to the tips or improvement. When you give your constructive criticism, go back to more positive feedback. Okay, I'll give you example. Let's say I'll use the name Carlos. Okay, Carlos, this is my feedback to your research and presentation. Well done. Okay. So this is the positive feedback. You did well in your research. I clearly understand what's your content. I like your delivery, and I like the way how you perform the research. That is positive feedback. Now, let's go to the constructive or negative. However, I find that you need to clarify this one by giving more example in your research. And also, I would like you to include the sources of your research. See, that is constructive feedback or negative feedback. I mentioned two. Give more example of your research and mention the sources of your research, right? Then you transition to the last part of giving more positive. However, overall, I'm satisfied with your research. They're very clear. The writing is very good. I like the words you use in your research, right? So that is the example of giving feedback. You started with positive, and then you mentioned that in points of improvement, and then you transition to more positive. Is that clear? Do I have a clear?
Yes, sir. Sure. Yes, sir. I got it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm more than willing to
Thank you.
explain more if it is not clear. Okay, so that is a feedback. Thank you for the question. Again,
Thank
always
you.
remember this. Take a screenshot. Something positive to warm up the discussion. The feedback you actually wanted to give, and then something else positive to soften the real feedback. So just take a picture of this one, and that will help you. Now, to everyone here, remember to think this portion, feedback sandwich, and you can incorporate that. You can incorporate that to your children later on, for those who have no children, and you can still do so, right? Positive, constructive, positive. Okay. All right. Any more questions? If not, then I'm going give the control back to our moderator. Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you, everyone. I wish you all
Thank you.
success and all the best.
Now I welcome Dr. Surinder Kumar, Principal, Government SPMR College of Commerce. Sir, your guidance and support prove that you are a great leader. We are really blessed to have a principal like you. With a thankful heart, we welcome you, sir, and I request you to kindly share your words of wisdom with us, sir. Sir,
Thank you, Professor Deepshikha. I am Dr. Surinder Sharma,
thank you,
Principal,
sir.
SPMR College, Jammu. Good evening to all.
Good evening,
Shri
sir.
Alok Kumar ji, IRS, Chief Patron of 1 Week International Workshop Quality Development Program on Research Methods, Tools and Techniques for Multidisciplinary Research Design. Dr. Jasmine Ashai, Director Colleges, Patron of the FDP. Dr. Naveen Anand, Dean Academy Affair, Co-Patron of the FDP. And Dr. R.S. Rizin Silvest, President Cape Cameron Trust, Tamil Nadu, India. Dr. Pooja, convener and coordinator, Research and Development Cell of the college. Professor Deepshikha Sharma, organizing secretary, members of the organizing team, esteemed speakers from different countries, and participants. First of all, I extend a very warm welcome to all to this 1-week international virtual skilled development program on research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research designs being organized by Government SPMR College of Commerce, Jammu, in collaboration with Cape Cameron Trust, India. If we talk of the NEP 2020, its stress has been laid on research, particularly multidisciplinary research. Multidisciplinary research takes place when faculty from different disciplines work independently on a common platform or research question. In this approach, faculty share research goals and work on the same problem, but look at it from their own discipline's perspective. Multidisciplinary research is needed to solve many, if not all, of the major research challenges of the next decade. It can be effective tool to facilitate, collaborate between professionals and hence improve outcomes for people and communities. I'm sure that during these 7 days, exchange of knowledge will take place, which will be fruitful in introducing research ecosystem in the institutions of higher learning. All the speakers are of high repute. I appreciate the efforts taken by the members of the Research and Development Cell of the college and Cape Cameron Trust India in this national FDP. I thank you for organizing this FDP. Professor Deepshikha, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Hello.
much. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words of wisdom, sir. Dr. Faiza, please continue with the proceedings of the technical session 2. Over to you, Dr. Faiza.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Well, now the time has come to start with our second technical session. In this, we have with us Dr. B. Sapurti. Dr. B. Sapurti is Assistant Professor of English in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, NIT Warangal, Telangana. Dr. Sapurti joined NIT in the year 2018 as Assistant Professor. She has organized and coordinated several national and international conferences, summer internship programs, professional development proficiency courses, etc. Ma'am has trained employees of various organizations like Google, Accenture, Dell, etc. Dr. Purti has presented papers in more than 16 international conferences and has published more than 5 papers and chapters in various books and journals. Now I request Dr. Purti to kindly enlighten us with her valuable knowledge. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that brief introduction. I would like to take the opportunity first to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to join you again. This is my second, association with Cape Cameron, and I really thank you for this opportunity. To begin with, I want to check if I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Now I'm going to share my presentation, and please confirm if you're able to see the slide as well.
Yes, ma'am, we are able to see you.
Great, thank you so much. So, very quickly, without delaying it any further, we begin the uh, discussion. I'd rather call the discussion because I would expect the participants to participate in this discussion that we're going to have this evening for the next 1 hour. Is the chat enabled? Is there any possibility of us enabling the chat? If while the organizers are trying to do that, can I can the participants raise your hand? I see 107 participants in the meeting right now. Oh, wow.
Yes,
Them. All right. If you're with me, you can raise your hand to tell us that you're paying attention and you're with all of us. It gets really difficult. Had it been an in-person FDP, faculty development program, things would have been different. But then now that we're online, we probably have to check if you've actually logged in and stepped away. So I have 9 people who've raised their hands. How about the others? 9, 12 so far, 13. Waiting for the others to raise their hands so that we know you're with us. I know it's been 1 hour, but then it was a very nice, engaging, inspiring talk by one. The first presenter. Okay, all right, great then. I believe that you roll with me and you'll be all paying attention to the presentations. I just have a simple question. You can unmute and tell me which fruit you ate last. What was the last fruit?
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
Grapes.
Grapes, okay.
Banana.
Apple.
Banana.
Banana.
Orange.
Apple.
Orange.
Orange.
Okay. I heard apple, orange, banana, grapes, watermelon. Pineapple, anybody? Okay, okay. I heard you. Any other fruit that you ate?
Mango.
Mango in February already? How did you manage to get your hands onto a mango? Very nice. Okay. All right. Any other fruits? Did we get all of them? Okay. So the organizing team is in Jammu, right? Jammu and Kashmir, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One fruit that comes to our mind when we talk about Jammu is
Apple.
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 Right, apple, right? How many of you know the life cycle of apple? Of an apple tree. This is from I have a daughter who's 6 years old. She's in the first standard. This is from her nursery textbook. Are you able to see the screen? There is a small exercise. It has a life cycle there, right? Now there are a couple of words below. So we'll start with this one here. Are you able to see the cursor? Are you able to see the cursor? We'll start here.
Yes, cursor.
Okay, what should go in the first? What should go in this box?
Tree.
Okay, tree. All right. What should go here? If that's a tree.
Then that's sapling and next tree.
Okay. Okay. So this should be a sapling. You have words below. There are seedling, sapling, tree, bud, fruit, apple blossom, flower, seed, and pip. Okay, if this is tree, what is this then? The third box. Participants, are you able to hear me? What
That should be bird.
Bud.
Bud. Okay, and this will be
Bud.
the fourth one will be blossom.
Flower.
And fifth one will be fruit.
Seed.
And the last one is
Seed.
seed, right? And this is a cycle. All right. Now, the reason I asked you this is, do you think research is a cycle or is it a linear process? All of you are researchers, right? All of you are interested in doing research somehow, somewhere in life, or you have already done a lot of research and you want to come back and understand if your understanding of what research is correct or not, right? So how many of you think research is a cycle and how many of you think research is a linear process? We'll take the example of apple fruit. It's a cycle, okay? Anybody else? Anybody thinks it's a linear process? Anybody here? No, everybody thinks it's a cycle. Okay, great, wonderful. So for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to follow certain basic steps. First, we'll understand the roadmap to research roadmap. And then we'll try to spell out research questions, not a part of this session. You know, when I looked at the brochure, I realized that it's a very well-built FTP, because, you know, you have everything from the basic components of research, tools for data analysis, you know, some sessions on Scopus and Web of Science publications, indexing, pretty much everything that you would probably do in a, you know, research writing paper at a university. So I would like to congratulate the organizers for thinking of including all the elements and getting you know, research you know, experts on board to deliver these talks. So while research questions will be covered in another session by another speaker, it is important that we understand what research question is before we get to formulate research hypothesis, which is the main topic for this session. Okay, to begin with, you know, to get this out of the you know, checklist, we will quickly look at, this is what you will also be doing throughout the FTP. We really first begin with identifying the data needs, as in what is required to know. Why do we even need to do research? What are we trying to find? I have a simple question for the participants again. Organizers, if you can please get the chat window up, it would be great. But otherwise, participants, can you unmute their microphone and speak? What do you think is the difference between search and research? Participants, are you there with me? What do you think is the difference between search and research?
Search means finding out, and research means many times, means repeatedly you can find out the new things out of it.
Fair. Okay, great. Anybody else? Thank you, Ms. Swati. Any other answers?
Yes, madam. Research, searching it is already searched.
Okay, searching for something that has already been found, searched and found. Okay, fair.
Yes, madam. Research mean re-looking at thing that has already been researched with a different perspective, or with a certain kind of spectacles having before our eyes.
Okay, with different lens, probably. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes,
can we
anybody
give
else?
the can we give the synonyms discover and rediscover to these terms?
Fair enough. That's one way of looking at it. Okay, now I'm going to give you two statements, okay, or questions rather. Okay, you tell me which of these questions is searching and researching. Okay, one is a search question, another is a research question. Okay, are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
now that we're talking about, now that the organizers are from Jammu Kashmir, okay, what are some places to visit in Jammu and Kashmir is question 1. Question 2 is, which places do the visitors from outside India prefer visiting in Jammu and Kashmir?
Second one is research question, because it has data. We have to take data from the visitors and the site where they visit, the visiting site. This is the research question. How can we systematically analyze the question? And first one was just a question answer.
Right. Any other answers? Thank you, Mr. Rajib Das. Any other answers?
Yes, ma'am.
Question number
Yes,
one.
ma'am. Second one is of research, because with the different perspectives we can study that.
Okay, fair. Rahul Jain sir?
Yes, question number one is a search, because we only need to know that what are the places that we can visit in Jammu. But question number two, from foreign many visitors are coming, and out of all the visitors, how many are visiting Jammu Kashmir? So basically we are covering some more facts about visitors. So second one is research. Second one is research. First one is search, I think.
Correct. Great. Good job, everyone. Thank you, all of you, for answering. And
Madam, both the questions are of research.
I'm sorry, Nishant sir.
Both the questions are of research.
Okay. To a certain extent, yes, probably I can agree to that. But then if I try to explain it to you, for example, if I want to find the answer to the first question, where will I go?
That is what I'm saying. The degree or intensity differs. If you want to find out how many visitors have visited a particular place, first you have to find out that what are the actual places that usually visitors visit.
Correct. True. So if I have to just know, how long do you think I take to answer the first question? I'll go to the holy place of all answers, which is Google, right? I will type, if I'm traveling to Google, I will type places to visit in Jammu and Kashmir, and I'll get a list, which is already done by somebody. Somebody would have put in time, effort, and research to come up with that list, right? For my second question, what is the probability? What are the chances of me getting the answers that I want?
Minimal.
Yeah, which
ma'am, it depends upon the likes and dislikes of the visitors.
Correct. So the probability, probably somebody, one of us would have conducted that research as well, but the probability of me finding a ready-made answer to that is less, because I have a variable. I have two variables there. One, people visiting from outside, independent variable visiting places in Jammu and Kashmir. But I have another variable, people visiting from outside, and I want to know which is the most visited place. And I have a question why. Right. So the probability of me finding an answer, a ready-made answer to that, where I can go and search for an answer, are very less for the second question. We'll get to know. We'll get to understand why we are saying so. Okay. So to go back to the slide, research roadmap, first we need to identify the need for finding out the data. Okay. And then specifically spell out our research question. I'm sure which will be covered in the next sessions. Then formulate the objectives. Then we plan the analysis. Basically, we have a research design in mind. We think about the tools for data collection and the analysis as well, as to how we wish to conduct the analysis. We go ahead and collect the data. Then once we collect the data, we analyze the data, we formulate recommendations, and we share it with the stakeholders. This is usually the roadmap. And in case we end up with a question again towards the end of our research, we'll go back to point one. Again, it becomes a cycle where you start off with identification of data needs. All right. So the reason I said we will look at spelling out your research question at the beginning of the session is because many of us know and believe that having a research question, clarity of what you're looking for, is absolutely important in your research journey. Okay, so why is a research question important? Is basically everything that we do in our research, everything that we write in our paper, everything that we write in our thesis, or everything that we present in our research presentations is basically focused on answering our research questions. So it is absolutely important, imperative to have a research question at the beginning of our research in our mind. Probably you can change it. Probably you can, rephrase it. But then you clearly need to know where you're heading to. For example, if you're starting from your place, you need to know where you're planning to reach, right? You need to at least have an idea as to which direction you're going. Okay. And it basically summarizes the significant issue of the research. Basically, when you have formulated a research question, by then you would have understood the issue clearly, and why you're conducting that research, and your objectives would be easier for you to explain and for the readers to understand when you have a research question in place. And hypothesis is nothing but a possible answer to your research question. Any type of research, be it experimental, empirical, they're all designed around the research question and a possible answer to the research question. The research form as a possible answer, we as researchers formulate a hypothesis, and then we design the study in such a way as to reject or support the hypothesis. Right? Also, such studies are usually quantitative in nature, where we are trying to find out. It's not necessary that you always end up proving your hypothesis. Sometimes, you have to reject your hypothesis. Right? Remember, for you to even come up with a research, hypothesis, we should clearly have a research question in mind. Okay, so very quickly, for my very engaged participants, there is a meme here. What do you think this meme is? What do you think this meme is about? Are you able to see this on the screen, participants?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What is this? I mean, can we try and decode this?
An apple a day keeps doctor away. That famous.
Wow.
Right.
Right.
Story.
Right. An apple a day keeps a doctor away. Okay. So, is it true? How many of you believe that it is true? People from Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, who said apple comes to your mind when you think of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. Now let's see how we can go ahead and test this hypothesis. An apple a day keeps the doctor away is the hypothesis. Fair? Let's see how we can go ahead and test this hypothesis. Okay. So first, even before we get there, we'll understand what a hypothesis is. Like I already explained, it's a tentative, testable answer, solution to your research question. It is a tentative statement saying what you expect to find in your research, to put in simple words. And it is not a random guess, but a prediction based on existing knowledge. When we say existing knowledge, we have probably, there are a lot of people who've already conducted a lot of research in this area. There were articles, there are elders in the family who would say this, right? The people would say that, apples are good because they have high in nutrition. They, have a lot of fiber, right? And probably people would share their past experiences. They would have conducted a lot of research which says apple has vitamin C, which will boost your immune system, right? There is a lot of work done already based on that, and based on your research that you're going to conduct, you're making an informed prediction. It's not a guess, it's not a mere guess, but an informed prediction about what you expect to find out in your research. Right? So very simply, to break this up into simpler steps, we'll look at six steps that we can follow to formulate a strong hypothesis. Okay. The first and basic step, like I already informed you, is asking a question. Right? So if I have to ask a question regarding the statement, the meme that we just saw, and the most popular saying that, an apple a day keeps a doctor away. What question would I ask? What would the question be if I'm trying to test that phenomenon? Participants, I told you this is going to be a discussion. Okay. I'll give you a hint here.
Apple is a nutritious fruit.
Okay. All right. So begins with a focused, specific, and researchable question to answer. It has to be focused, specific, and researchable. I'll give you an example here. What are the health benefits of eating an apple a day? Basic question. Is it specific, eating an apple every day and focused on one fruit? Is it researchable? Yes, no, don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go to question.
It is researchable.
Okay, so let's go to step 2, preliminary research, right? So in step 2, your initial answer to the research question should be based on what is already known about the topic. So what is known about the topic? We have question 1 here. If you have to answer this question based on what we already know, what would the answer be? What are the health benefits of eating an apple? Can somebody give me one answer?
It
I
is
gave
Nutritious
nutritious.
value of apple.
I'm sorry, Mansoor sir.
Ma'am, nutritious value of apple.
Nutritious value of apple. Apple. Great. Miss Swati, you were trying to say something.
Same it is, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam, it's a great source of fiber and antioxidants. So
Brilliant. Brilliant. See, I gave you an answer here as well. Similar one, like you said. You're right. Research says apples are nutritious. They are high in vitamin C that can boost immune system. These are the health benefits that might contribute to fewer doctor visits. Remember, we have a variable there. Doctor, keeping the doctor away is one of the variables. Having the fruit will help in the person staying away from the doctor or reduce the number of doctor visits, right? Okay, let's look at the step that follows this, which is formulating your research hypothesis. So far, we looked at we have formulated a question. We have a question in mind. We looked at what has already been discovered or what has already been researched. Now we need to write down the initial answers to the question in a clear and concise sentence. Because your hypothesis, again, I'd like to repeat, is nothing but a possible answer which is tentative and testable for your research question that you have set for your own research. Okay, example. Daily apple consumption leads to fewer doctor visits. Now, what are some characteristics of a good research hypothesis? This is something that, we would have, listened to our professors saying in our research methodology class, or if you would have read some books. I'm going to share some resource material as well, which gives you more information on research hypothesis and how to formulate types of research hypothesis given the paucity of time. We'll not be able to look at all the types of research hypothesis, but then I'll share the material with you all. To begin with, a good hypothesis should be conceptually clear. You need to know what the variables are, what you're testing, and what questions you're trying to answer, right? Hypothesis must be testable. Hypothesis should be related to the existing body of theory and impact. Hypothesis should be logical, unity, and comprehensiveness in terms of unity and comprehensiveness. Hypothesis should be capable of verification and it should be operational. Right, these are some basics of good hypothesis. Now, the fourth step is, once you have the hypothesis written somewhere, you'll have to go back and, refine it further, right? To refine it, there are three things that we'll do, and we'll remember while refining our hypothesis. Your hypothesis is supposed to be specific, it is supposed to be testable, and it should contain relevant variables. Now, you must be thinking, what are these variables? Why are we even looking at variables, right? I'll give you an example and we'll look at the variables in the next slides. Daily apple consumption in people over 60 leads to fewer doctor visits. Now, if you look at it, until here, we are only talking about apple consumption and doctor visits, right? But now I have included people over 60 years. Everything else is the same. So, if you look at it, this is the predictable outcome. Are you able to see this? The one circled, fewer, is actually saying that, if somebody who's over 60 years is eating an apple every day, the chances of him or her visiting a doctor are lesser. Basically, you're predicting that, right? And the relevant variables here are apple consumption in people over 60 and doctor visits. So one of this is a dependent variable and one of these is an independent variable. Can somebody please tell me which one is a dependent variable and which one is an independent variable? If your
apple consumption is dependent. Independent,
okay.
sorry, and doctor's visit will be dependent.
Okay, fair enough. Any other answers, anybody? Okay, no problem. We'll look at those answers then. Phrase your hypothesis, right? You can phrase your hypothesis based on your objective in 3 ways. Now I request all of you to make sure that you make a note of these. If you want to take a screenshot, please do, because towards the end of this session, we'll also look at some research questions and try and phrase hypotheses for those. And if you're already working on something, and if you have your own research question in your mind for your particular research, I'm sure you will be able to come up with a hypothesis by the end of the session, because we're looking at different ways in which we can frame or phrase our hypothesis. All right, if you would like to, please take screenshots. Otherwise, if you want to write down, if you have notes, please go ahead. The 3 ways in which we can phrase our hypothesis. First is if and then. Second is correlation, effect, and the last is comparison. Okay, let's look at the first one. If people over 60 consume an apple every day or apple daily, then they will visit the doctor less frequently. Okay, if you look at it, the independent variable is consuming an apple daily, like our participant, Ms. Nishuja just explained, right? And our dependent variable, effect of it, is visiting the doctor less frequently. Cause and effect. If, then. If it rains, if it starts to rain heavily, then I will postpone my travel plans to tomorrow. Something like that, right? Correlation effect. Daily apple consumption by people over 60 will result in a decreased frequency of doctor's visit. And what we're trying to understand is correlation. If people eat it more often, will it have an impact on the frequency of doctor visit? The third way of writing a research hypothesis is people over 60 who consume an apple daily visit the doctor less frequently than those who don't. Right? Now, I'll go back to this and tell me, what kind of research tools will I use if I'm using this phrase, if I'm actually using this method to phrase my hypothesis? How will I get the data? How will I collect the data? Participants, if people over 60 consume an apple daily, then they will visit the doctor less frequently. So what are some, what would my data include? Will I use questionnaires? Will I
manual surveys? Manual surveys.
Manual surveys, and will I go to the doctor to check how many people over 60? Yes, Ms. Swati?
Questionnaire also we can use.
Questionnaire survey, okay. Anything else that I will use?
Case study over a group of people over age 60.
Okay. Now, do I need an experimental group and a control group here for this research?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I need an experimental group and control group?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
okay? How? Or do I need it here? We have 1, 2, and 3 methods, right? Do I need the experimental group and control group here or here? Is this an exploratory study or an experimental study?
Exploratory.
In an exploratory study, is it mandatory for me to have 2 groups, controlled and experimental?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I not answer this question with just 1 group to check how many people are eating apples every day and visiting the doctors, and if there is any increase or decrease? Do I need another group at all? I'm just asking. I don't know. You tell me.
But ma'am, the question is that how will you select those people, like over 60 people, from where you will get the data?
I could probably go to an old age home where I have people over 60 there. And then I will compare, give them an apple every day. And then I will see if they're actually if they're paying less visits to the doctor. Okay. I'm just checking cause and effect.
But there may be many causes also, no? There may be different variables, many reasons to visit doctor that are independent of eating apples.
Right. Right. My question to you is, do you need, right? Whatever you're saying is right, but then do you need a control group or an experimental group? And an experimental group here or here. For this, definitely you need two groups. I'm comparing two groups. I'm
Yes,
giving
ma'am.
apple
Last
to
one.
one group, and I'm not giving apple to the other group, and I'm seeing which group members visit the doctor more often, right?
Right, ma'am.
So based on the research design, you can always go back. The whole purpose of this discussion is, some of us may have a feeling that, hypothesis is supposed to be developed at the beginning of the research and it is fixed. Not necessary. Because probably if you're not able to get the data that you anticipated, like Madam asked, how do I get hold of people over 60? What if they have other variables? What if they are sick and they're visiting because there is a fracture? Right? So depending on the data that you're collecting and your analysis, many times you would go back and keep changing your hypothesis. However, your research question will remain the same. Though your hypothesis is a possible answer to your research question, the objective of your research remains the same. However, the way you phrase your hypothesis will change depending on the kind of data you're collecting and the analysis that you're doing. How many of you agree with me and how many of you disagree with me? So some of my research scholars have a challenge. They're saying, ma'am, my hypothesis is this, but I'm not able to, understand. I'm getting scared. It is not working the way I planned. What do I do now? Hypothesis is a prediction, right? And as a researcher, my job is not to prove what I predicted. When I try my means to prove what I predicted, then I am a biased researcher. My job as a researcher is to either support or dismiss, cancel my hypothesis. My job as a researcher is not to, make it appear true and say hence proved. All of us have this challenge, we propose something at the beginning of our research and, ma'am, it is not coming, it is not this is not how I thought it is. I'm worried now. What do I say? It is actually opposite to what I thought it is. What do I do about it now? It's absolutely fine. How many of you agree that as a researcher, our job is not to prove our hypothesis? It is just to state facts. You can unmute and speak.
Agreed, ma'am. Agreed.
Agreed, ma'am. Please remember researchers' bias in mind whenever you do any kind of research, be it your classroom research, be it your action research, be it your research that you conduct, be it your literature review. Do not have a biased mind. Don't try to prove a phenomenon. Just go with an empty mind to find out what it is. As a researcher, our job is only to, present facts and analyze it the way it is. There is no scope for interpretation in data presentation. The analysis is also supposed to be fact-based. Our job is not to prove anything. Our job is only to present data the way it is. Else, we are biased researchers. And we don't want to be biased researchers because biased research is not valid. Okay, how many of you understand the concept of triangulation? Triangulation of research? Nobody? I request you to please read triangulation of research. The reason we use multiple tools, for example, we collect data from, surveys, and then we collect data from our interviews, and then we also collect data from we try to see if they all match. That we do to make sure that the findings are valid and there is no researcher's bias. Your triangulation increases the validity of research. And it becomes more reliable. Remember, reliability and validity when you're thinking of research. Your research work has to be valid and should be reliable. And it should be replicable as well. If the same research is conducted elsewhere, the results are supposed to come out the same way. For you to check if it is that strong, always include triangulation. It's just one step in your research, which will test your hypothesis and which will tell you that if your findings from point A, point B, and point 3, from your survey, from your interviews, and from your review, syllabus review or literature review, if all the information is same, or if there is any contradiction, then you can go back and redo it. You can include other tools. That's fine. And if there is contradiction, good. You can always discuss and say that, while teachers and students who I've interviewed say this, the results say a different thing altogether. Right? So remember, always, there is no scope for bias in research. Always have a null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is just like what we discussed right now. It nullifies your hypothesis. It says that there is no link between the variables that we do. Our variables for this discussion were eating apple every day and meeting the doctor less often, right? So null hypothesis, or H0, is required if your research involves statistical hypothesis testing. Example of null hypothesis: daily apple consumption over 60, basically people over 60, will have no effect on the frequency of doctor visit. You might have conducted the entire research just because if your null hypothesis is proved, if your research is supporting a null hypothesis, you are stating facts. There's nothing to be worried about. Okay, so very quickly, it is 7:52. So we've been talking for over more than half an hour now. So we're getting closer to the end of the session. So very quickly, let's see how much we understand things. Okay, are you with me? Can I have a yes, no, don't know?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Very quickly, there are some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Hypothesis is considered as dash and dash statement of possible relationship between two or more variables. If you remember the characteristic slides, you will understand. What could be the answer? Tentative one.
And testable.
Right? Brilliant. Next, hypothesis can be put in the form of an if dash statement. This is the first
Then.
way of
Then.
Brilliant. Good job. Hypothesis formulated dash to review of literature. Is it done before or after, prior to or later?
Ma'am, after.
Before.
Prior.
Prior.
Okay, let's see. Because I have two different answers here. Other questions I had one answer. All right. Dash of knowledge of a theoretical framework is a major difficulty in formulating a hypothesis.
Lack of knowledge.
Okay. Formulation of a hypothesis enhances dash in the study.
Research.
Okay. These are the answers here. If there are others, don't worry. Okay. Basically, tentative, testable, correct. If then correct. Hypothesis formulated prior to review of literature. Absence of knowledge of theoretical framework is a major difficulty in formulating a hypothesis. Remember, you need to have a theoretical framework in mind, because if you don't, you'll have to go back and forth. Remember, we said we can go back to change. If you have knowledge of theoretical framework, it gets a lot easier. And formulation of hypothesis enhances objectivity in the study. But very quickly, are you ready for testing if you've done it right, if you've been paying attention, if you understood it correctly? Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Very quickly, there are 3 questions. You can choose any question. Do not say anything now. You get 5 minutes. If you can write hypothesis for all 3 questions, nothing like it. There are 3 research questions here. Study the following research questions and state the possible hypothesis which specify their type, There is an error there. Okay, hang on. Okay, are you able to see my screen now? No? Yes?
No.
No, no, ma'am, it's not visible.
Okay, hang on. I'll share it, no problem. Okay, is it better?
No, ma'am.
Study the
Still no.
following questions and state the possible hypothesis.
Yeah, it's fine now.
It's fine now? Okay. Now try to take a notepad, take a book or a paper and try to write the hypothesis for question 1, question 2 and question 3. It is 7:56 right now. We have like 5 minutes. Do not discuss them yet. We'll look at each of those in a bit. Okay?
Ma'am, can you share this slide number 3 and 6 again for hypothesis?
Ma'am, you're not audible. Please unmute. I'm sorry, I just realized I was on mute. Okay. Which slide are you referring to?
Slide numbers 3 and 6.
3 and 6. Hang on, give me 1 minute. Slide number 3 is at the very beginning. Okay.
For a
Slide
formulating
number
of six steps. Step number 3 and step number 6.
Okay. First is ask a question. Basically, you ask a focused question. Slide number, I don't know which, but basically this is the preliminary question. You want to take a screenshot of this?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Then this is formulate your hypothesis, clear and concise statement. If this is the one that we are referring to, characteristics of a good hypothesis. And refine your hypothesis. Basically, they are supposed to be specific, testable, and they should contain relevant variables. Example, those are the variables and the predicted outcome. Step 5, you can do it in 3 ways. One is if and then. Second is correlation effect. Third is comparison. You can use any of these. Examples are coming next. I'll share the entire PPT. I've already shared the PPT with the organizers. Organizers are requested to please share it with the participants as well, if they find it useful. If and then, this is how you formulate the question with your dependent variable and independent variable. Correlation, this is how you do it, where you're just testing if it is going to increase or decrease the frequency. Comparison, you're comparing two groups where you have an independent, where you have an experimental group and a control. Null hypothesis is basically nullified, saying there is no effect, no relationship between the variables. We're going into the questions again. These are the questions for the ones who couldn't take a screenshot. Please do. I'll give you an example. Are you all with me while you're doing? We have another 1 minute because I had gone back. How many of you are done? Can you please say done if you are done writing the hypotheses for these 3 questions? I wish the chat was enabled. We could have done a lot more things, but that's fine. Not a problem. The reactions are also not available. No problem. Okay, raise your hand in that case if you're done. Okay.
Participants, please raise your hands.
All right, fair enough. Great. I see that many of you are done. I'll give you an example. For example, if your research question, basically, a basic question that you would write is, what are the effects of increased concentrations of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere on production of a certain grain, let's say rice grain? In case sulfuric acid percentage increases in the atmosphere, what will be its effect? So better research question will be, do increased concentration of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere lead to significant decrease in the production of rice grain, right? The hypothesis for this would be probably abnormally high concentration of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere have no effect or drastic effect, has significant effect on production of rice grain or no effect on production of rice grain. What is significant effect? Basically, if I'm saying there is a significant effect, I'm giving them a hypothesis. If I'm saying there is no effect, then there's a null hypothesis, right? I gave you 2 examples. Could somebody give me the hypothesis statement for question number 1? Anybody here?
Yes, ma'am.
Physically attractive people have more friends.
Okay. Physically attractive people have more friends. Okay. Any other answer for question number 1?
People with good looks tend to have more friends.
Okay. Any other answer?
Ma'am, physical
you have attractive personality, you have more friends.
Sir, I'll come to you. Sir. Priyaranjan, sir. Miss Swati, can you repeat that, please?
Okay.
If you have attractive personality, you have more friends.
Fair. Okay. Yes, Priyaranjan, sir.
Ma'am, physical attractiveness is crucial for friendship among young persons.
Okay, young persons. Okay. So as you get old, this doesn't matter, is it? Okay. Could somebody now give me the null hypothesis, please? Could someone come up with the null hypothesis?
There is no positive correlation. The good physical, not there will be no the physical. There is no and.
Ma'am, there is no relation.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. Yes, sorry, ma'am.
There is no relationship between physical and friendship.
Fantastic. Good job.
There is no relationship between activities and friendship.
Fantastic. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. Hypothesis. Question number 2. Question is, does onset of fatigue reduce the efficiency of the worker? What's the hypothesis?
Work efficiency reduced from the onset fatigue worker. Work efficiency reduced from the onset fatigue worker.
Okay. Work efficiency decreases from the onset of fatigue in a worker. Okay, fair. Next. Anybody else?
May I?
Yes, please.
Onset fatigue of worker affect the work efficiency.
Onset fatigue on. Okay. Grammatically a little haywire, but then I understood your point. Okay, great. Anybody else?
Fatigue leads to inefficiency in work.
Fatigue leads to inefficiency in work of inefficiency in work. Okay, good way. All right, anybody else wants to try this? Okay, null hypothesis now. Priyaranjan sir, you saying something?
It's okay, ma'am. I was just telling inefficiency is a reason of fatigue, something like that.
No, sir, you're actually changing the entire thing. Fatigue is a reason for inefficiency. Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am,
All right. Johnny, ma'am, yes.
Ma'am, I want to answer this.
relationship between fatigue and efficiency of workers.
No relationship between fatigue and efficiency of a worker. Okay, fair, fair. Yes, sir, you were saying something.
There is positive relation between the onset of fatigue with the efficiency of the workers.
Right, this is the hypothesis. What is the null hypothesis?
No positive relation, I told ma'am. There is no positive relation between the onset of fatigue with the efficiency of the worker.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. I couldn't hear it well before. Okay, let's move on to the last question. We're getting close to the session end time, so not taking too much time. The third question is, does meaningfulness of material affect the rate of learning? That is not meaningful, that is meaningfulness. Yeah, no.
Meaningful material enrich learning experience.
Brilliant, Nitish sir. Fantastic. Others?
Meaningful material can lead to deeper processing, which can enhance memory and retention.
Fantastic. You're bringing in other variables. Good job. Next. Anybody else wants to try?
The more
Meaningful
meaningful are the
material
materials,
affects the rate of
the easier
learning
the
than
learning
other
and
things.
retention.
Swati ma'am, I'll come back to you. Mansur sir was speaking. Mansur sir, you can go ahead, please.
Yes, ma'am. The more meaning are the materials, the more meaningful are the materials, the easier the learning and retention.
Fair enough. Fantastic. Swati ma'am, over to you.
Meaningful material affects the rate of learning than other things.
Fantastic. Than other things. You're actually talking about other things. Probably when you actually look at research, you will look at other elements like, teacher intervention, teacher talk time, activities. Fantastic. Great, great. All right. So what is the null hypothesis?
Meaningful material does not enrich learning experience.
Does not enrich, or are we
It does not affect, rather.
Affect.
Enrich.
All right. All right. Anybody else wants to try? Do I take that silence
Ma'am,
for a Yes, Meghna ma'am.
the meaningfulness of material has a little impact on the rate of learning.
Little or no impact. Fair enough. Depends, right? Insignificant impact, right? Fair. Good job.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. So great. So that's it. I'm very happy that you all participated, and I'm sure.
Syllabus concepts and interpretations.
Right. I'm sure you were able to, apply the learning that you got today. Do remember, hypothesis is important. However, you can always go back and change your hypothesis, but then having your research question at the beginning of your research clear in your mind is very important. As researchers, we sometimes become biased. We want to prove our hypothesis. Please, no, don't do that. There is no scope for researchers bias in good research. Our research is supposed to be valid and reliable. Remember triangulation method, and I'm sure you'll be able to check your own validity before somebody else tests your research and gives you a verdict on it. Yeah, we just did a feedback session just before now. I'm sure you understand how important feedback is, but then before it goes to somebody for feedback, please look into your own research and remember, as researchers, as human beings, we are all biased, but when we are researchers, there is no scope for bias. That brings me to the end of this session. Thank you very much for being an engaging audience. You guys, you were very good I would have not been successful in completing the session had you not interacted in the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the insightful session.
Thank you.
Pleasure as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for the opportunity. I take the opportunity.
Thank you for a great insight,
Organizers
ma'am.
and followers, thank you very much. I will reach out to you in the future for
Thanks a lot, Dr. Spurti. Thanks a lot, Dr. Spurti. Your valuable ideas and techniques will definitely help all of us in achieving our research goal, but also at the same time, making the research interesting and enjoyable.